Okay guys, I thought I'd go ahead and show you what how I put my rib stitching on. It's something that's always a pain in the butt to do on a scale model, but actually shows up pretty well on the model and gives it that extra authenticity. I've got a regular piece of wood here, and on this wood I've measured out a whole bunch of nails at about 3/8, anywhere from 3/8 to about a half an inch apart, and then I've run this Reach dental floss, it's unwaxed, back and forth across this to give me my stitches. On top of the board I've put the press and seal. It's just almost like a wax paper or a plastic wrap that sticks to the board. You can get out the wrinkles real well on it. On top of the press and seal, I've put down some Stitz Light. This is what I'm using to cover my all my flying surfaces with, the whole fuselage with. This is Stitz Light, very lightweight material. When you're done even with 6-8 coats of the material, it's still a few ounces or tenths of an ounce lighter than Monocoat all done up. So on top of this, like I said, I've got the stitches run across the Stitz Light, and now I've got some glue that I've mixed with some MEK to thin it out a little bit, and I'm just painting down, or actually gluing down the stitches. This board is about 18 inches or so long. This is the material that I'm using. It's polyfiber. It's just a tacking cement. I use that to attach the Stitz Light to the frameworks as well. But like I said, the board is about 18 inches long. The longest section of wing that I have, or that I would need of stitching, of a strip of stitching, is about 6 inches. So I've got 3 lengths of stitching just on this one board. I'm going to have to mix up some more glue here, but basically at say 1/8 of an inch stitch times 6, that's 48 times 3, so I'll have well over 100 lengths of stitches that I can apply to all the ribs and on the stab and elevators and everything else. So I've taken a heat gun, and at about 200, 220 or so, I went over the stitch to kind of pre-shrink it and get some of the wrinkles out. That way when you do go to shrink it, it doesn't mess up your stitching. I'm going to put a little more glue in here. Another little trick is take a plastic lid from peanuts or coffee can and glue one of the little cups down to it. Keeps it from tipping over. If you do drip when you pull out on the side, it doesn't get all over everything. I go through a lot of peanuts, so I have a lot of these lids around. Thin it out with a little bit of MEK. And again, just keep brushing it on. If you see any spots where it looks a little bit too thick or so, you can go back over it. You can straighten out the lines a little bit if they don't look even. But for the most part, it gives it a very realistic look. I'm going to finish this up here. I'll come back to it in a little bit here and show you what I do after all the glue dries. I hope this helps out with what you're... Let's see if I can make it look a little bit better so you can see what I'm doing here. Again, the reason I have the press and seal is so that it just doesn't glue it down to the board itself. All right, back in a bit. Okay, it's been about 10-15 minutes or so. The glue is completely dry. So now I'm going to start making my strips of stitching. Tape down the edges just to keep things from coming apart. Use a nice straight edge and a fresh blade. Cut straight down through. Now we're going to move it over about 1/8 of an inch. It's kind of rough look at it here. Could go through and mark it, but I'll make another cut. And then just so you can see what you end up with, trim this off. End up with a strip of fabric that has the stitching attached to it. Now when I get ready to put it on my flying surfaces, I just use the regular glue that I have, lay it down, and I don't know how well you can see that or not, but it looks just like the scale stitching on there. On a larger scale, I would probably take a piece of fabric, cut it about twice the width, 1/4 inch wide or so, and actually glue that over it. But in this case, by the time I get the coats of paint on it and you know, all the sealer and everything on it, these will blend right in. And the whole idea is not to make them stand out a whole lot, but just noticeable. So hopefully you can get an idea from that. I don't know how the light shines on that very well, but that's the stitching. Like I said, I've got a whole bunch of it. I can keep going down each rib. After I cut a whole bunch of these out, I'll have enough to go over the wing and the stab on both sides. I may have to do it again, just you know, in case I run out, but you can see it's not too hard to do. So the next installment I'm going to be doing is I've left one side of the stab uncovered. This is glued down with polyfiber brush-on adhesive, and then it's get one thin seal coat, and that actually gets wiped back off. But you can hear it; it's just like it's a drum already. Once I put the fabric on, I'll tack that all down. You just kind of work out the wrinkles. Hit it with the iron at about 250 or so. That takes the tightens fabric right up, and then brush on a coat of the seal coat, and it'll go from being a soft sound to an actual drum sound. Another coat of that. Once I glue my rib stitching on, I'll put one more coat on, fairly thin, wipe that back off. Then I can start putting my Polytone, the actual coloring on. And I managed to get a paint chip of the original PCA2, the Detroit News. So I actually have the paint number for it, and they make that in this material. So I'll have a scale color, hopefully. Anyways, I'll get back to you guys. I'll show you how I cover this this last piece here, and go from there.